You ever just stop talking to someone, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but because you finally woke up and realized you were the only one holding the entire connection together? It hits you one day, quietly but clearly. You see the energy isn't mutual, the effort is one-sided, and suddenly, carrying the weight of the bond feels exhausting. That moment right there. That's where everything starts to shift. At first, she won't notice. She'll go about her day, laugh with her friends, post her stories, act like everything's perfectly fine. And maybe it is, for a little while, because silence never hits all at once. It sneaks in slow, like a shadow, creeping across the room. The craziest part? It's not when you leave that she feels it. It's not when the last message is sent, or when the final call ends. It's when she realizes you're not coming back. See, it's easy to ignore someone when they're always there. When you're the one always reaching out, always checking in, always giving your presence like clockwork. But when that stops, when you go quiet, when you stop offering updates, when your emotional energy gets redirected back to yourself, that silence doesn't feel like distance anymore. It feels like loss. And while you're out here reclaiming your peace, finding your footing, becoming grounded again, she's quietly entering a stage she never expected. The one where your absence becomes louder than anything you ever said. It's not your words she hears anymore. It's the silence. And that silence, it speaks volumes. It reminds her of the effort you carried, the stability you brought, the consistency she overlooked. And the more you stay gone, the more she starts to feel the one thing she never saw coming: regret. Let's talk about what really happens when your silence starts to echo, when your absence stops feeling like space and starts feeling like loss. See, most guys think the moment they go quiet, she instantly starts missing them, but that's not how it works. The first thing she feels isn't longing. It's confusion. It's subtle, but it's there. At first, it's not even about missing you. It's about noticing the shift. It sneaks in quietly, disguised as routine. She picks up her phone out of habit, fingers scrolling through her messages, expecting to see your name pop up like it always did. The good morning text, the random check-in, the little reminder that someone was invested in her, paying attention to her world. But today, nothing. And it doesn't hit her like heartbreak. Not yet. It hits like a glitch in the system, like a tiny crack in the foundation of her day. She pauses for a second, brushes it off, tells herself you're probably busy, maybe life got in the way, but deep down, that quiet feeling starts to settle in. Something's off, something has shifted. She won't show it, won't panic, won't overthink it, at least not right away. But absence? It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It creeps in at the edges of her mind when she's laughing with friends, when she's scrolling through her feed, when she lies in bed at night, and it keeps whispering questions she doesn't want to answer. Did he pull back? Did I push him away? Is he gone for good? That's the thing about silence. It doesn't bring pain first. It brings uncertainty. And uncertainty, that's what starts the unraveling. Because when the person who always showed up suddenly doesn't, the silence starts speaking louder than the words ever could. Point 2, her confidence starts to wobble. And trust me, this is where things really start shifting beneath the surface. See, a lot of women walk away wearing pride like armor. They tell themselves they've got it all figured out. They convince themselves you'll fold, that you'll chase, that eventually you'll come knocking, because that's how it usually goes, right? But when you don't, when you hold the line, when you let the silence stretch and grow, that armor of confidence starts to crack. It doesn't happen overnight, it's subtle at first. She'll replay the way she left, thinking back to how sure she was that you'd come crawling back, how easy it felt to believe she held all the power in her hands. But now, that confidence, it's not as loud as it used to be. It starts getting drowned out by something else, her thoughts. The same thoughts she tried to bury under ego and pride. Did I misread him? Did I push him too far? Did he actually let me go? For real? And that's when it happens. The first real wave of doubt creeps in. It hits different because it doesn't come from outside. It's born inside her own mind, in those quiet moments when the world slows down and she realizes, maybe the game she thought she was playing, you're not playing it anymore. And that doubt, it lingers, it grows, it eats away at the illusion of control she thought she had. That's the power of your silence. It shakes her foundation without you having to say a single word. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Point 3. The world around her doesn't feel the same anymore, and at first she won't admit it. She'll try to drown it out. She'll go out, surround herself with friends, post the perfectly crafted selfies, throw up those stories that scream I'm unbothered, and keep that same energy of confidence like nothing's changed. But here's the thing, something has, and deep down she can feel it. The attention, the compliments, the laughing with her friends, it all feels flat. Because the truth is, attention only feels good when it's coming from the one person you actually want it from. And right now, that person is silent. You're silent. And that silence, it's loud in all the right places. It creeps into the spaces between her fake smiles and her phone screen lighting up with names that don't excite her. It lingers in the background of crowded rooms and loud music. It follows her when she scrolls through those likes and comments, realizing none of it hits the way your presence did. Your silence creates contrast, a stark, undeniable difference between the temporary highs of superficial attention and the quiet security of genuine connection. And the longer you stay quiet, the clearer that contrast becomes. It doesn't break her down publicly, no. She still looks composed, still looks like she's got it all under control. But in the quiet moments, when she's alone, when the noise fades and the lights go out, that's when it hits. That's when the emptiness shows up. That's when she starts to notice the space you used to fill, not just in her phone, but in her head, her heart, her day-to-day life. And that space, it starts to feel bigger and heavier with every hour you stay gone, because it's not just about missing your words, it's about missing how your presence made the rest of the world make sense, and no amount of external attention can compete with that. Point 4, eventually she starts comparing, and the harsh truth settles in. No one measures up. At first, she'll convince herself it's time to move on. Maybe she'll download the apps, respond to a few DMS, entertain a conversation or two. She might even go on a date, dress up, smile, laugh at the right moments, pretend it feels exciting. But beneath it all, that sinking realization starts to surface. You weren't just anyone, and now even the smallest details expose that. The way he talks doesn't have your cadence, your calm presence. The way he texts feels shallow, forced, surface level. The way he reacts to her emotions lacks that patience and security you carried so naturally. And with every forced laugh, every awkward silence, every unanswered expectation, the comparisons grow louder. She can't help but measure them against you. Not because she's stuck in the past, but because once a woman has tasted true emotional safety, once she's been in the presence of a man who makes her feel seen, steady, and understood, that's not something she forgets. Your silence, it didn't just create absence, it made her remember how rare that feeling was. And now, the bar is set, whether she wants to admit it or not. The more she searches for that same connection in someone else, the more she realizes how rare it is to find. Because you weren't just another option, you were her standard. And now, every new conversation, every new face, only reminds her of what she let slip through her fingers. That's the power of walking away with peace. It turns your absence into the loudest presence of all. Point 5. As more time passes, something unexpected begins to creep in. Guilt. Not the surface level regret people casually toss around, but that quiet, unsettling realization that sneaks up on her late at night in the quiet moments when no one's around to distract her from her own thoughts. It's not guilt because you hurt her. It's guilt because she knows deep down she hurt herself by not valuing what she had when it was standing right in front of her. She starts to remember the little things now, the way you were always available, not just physically, but emotionally. How patient you were when she was overthinking, how you listened, really listened, when she needed to vent, to cry, to process life, the way your energy was steady, how you never made her beg for attention, for reassurance, and suddenly your silence doesn't feel cold anymore. It feels deserved. That's the sting that pride can't cover up. It wasn't that you weren't enough, it's that she didn't recognize your worth until you stopped handing it to her so easily. She replays those moments now, but from a different lens, not through the filter of ego, but through the raw understanding that you were showing up consistently, fully, and she took it for granted. And now, as your absence lingers like a quiet echo, that guilt grows heavier, because the silence you've chosen speaks volumes, and every moment you stay quiet is a reminder that she lost something solid, not because you failed her, but because she failed to appreciate you when it mattered most. Point 6. Eventually, the fantasy starts replacing the reality. See, when you stay silent long enough, not out of spite but out of self-respect, something happens in her mind that she probably never saw coming. The sharp edges of the past, the arguments, the tension, the moments that cause distance, they all start to fade like an old photograph left out in the sun. And what's left behind? The good parts. The golden, untouched memories that now feel almost too good to be true. She doesn't remember the disagreements or the misunderstandings with the same intensity. No, those start to blur. But what remains vivid is the way your voice felt like peace at the end of a long day. The way your presence made her feel safe, like she didn't have to constantly wear her emotional armor. The late night conversations, the inside jokes, the effortless laughter when life felt heavy. Those become the highlight reel. And here's the thing. It's not because she's delusional. It's not because she's rewriting history to deceive herself. It's because deep down, she misses the version of herself that existed when she was with you. That version of her who felt seen, heard, and cared for, even if she couldn't fully appreciate it in the moment. Now, with you gone, with your absence echoing louder than any words could, the reality of her life feels dull, flat, lacking that spark she used to take for granted. And no amount of distractions or attention can fill that space, because what's haunting her isn't just your silence. It's the realization of how much brighter life felt when you were still choosing her. Eventually, she'll try to pull you back, but not in the way that's obvious, not in the way that gives away her vulnerability. She won't text you directly, not yet. That would require her to fully admit she feels your absence, that your silence has gotten under her skin more than she ever expected. Instead, she'll reach for you in the most subtle ways. Soft, quiet, calculated. Maybe she starts watching your stories more, not just occasionally, but consistently, almost instantly after you post. It's her silent way of saying, I'm still paying attention. Maybe she likes an old photo, one buried deep in your feed, so it's obvious enough to catch your attention, but easy to pass off as a slip. Or maybe she sends you a random meme, something funny, harmless, seemingly casual, but don't be fooled. To her, none of this is casual. It's strategic. It's her way of cracking the door open without fully stepping through it, without fully exposing how much your absence is starting to eat away at her pride. It's her testing the waters, asking without words, are you still there? Do you still care? Is the door still open? And this is the moment where most men trip over themselves. They get excited, they misread the subtlety, they rush in, flooding her with attention, thinking they've won her back, when really, all they've done is prove they couldn't hold their ground. But not you. You've grown past that. You finally understand that silence isn't a punishment, it's your power. You recognize these little signs for what they are. Her curiosity wrapped in hesitation, her pride battling her feelings. And so, you stay calm. You don't flinch, you don't chase, you let the silence breathe because now you understand. The man who can sit comfortably in uncertainty, the man who can stay grounded while she tiptoes around her own emotions, that's the man she starts to question losing. That's the man who makes her realize maybe she gave up on something she didn't fully understand. Your silence, your restraint, your refusal to react, that's not indifference, that's strength, and it speaks louder than any words ever could. Eventually, the realization hits her. The moment when she understands you're not coming back, not in the way she hoped. She might have been quietly hoping to pull you back without having to say much, without having to expose her own feelings too clearly. But your stillness, your unwavering silence speaks volumes. No reply, no chasing, no emotional reactions. And that's what finally breaks the loop inside her mind, because now she doesn't just feel regret, she feels the undeniable finality of it. Your silence isn't just quiet anymore, it's closure. Not closure that's forced or angry, but closure that's chosen, calm, and resolute. It's in that moment she truly understands, not only what she's lost, but who she's lost. A man who didn't need to argue or explain himself. A man who didn't beg for answers or validation. A man who simply disappeared with peace and dignity intact. And that kind of disappearance, that quiet, confident exit, it echoes far beyond the moment, long after words have faded. Bro, the silence you're holding right now, it's not weakness, it's not surrender, it's wisdom. It means you finally stop trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't or wouldn't see it. You're no longer chasing what drains your energy. You're no longer explaining yourself to people who don't value you. You're choosing to protect your peace, and that peace is priceless. It's not about her anymore. It's about you, about reclaiming your strength, your self-respect, and your life. So if you're in that space right now, where you're letting go, where you've stopped reaching out, where you're finally choosing yourself, know you're not alone. Drop this in the comments. I don't chase, I attract. Because the moment you become the man who stops running after validation is the moment she realizes she lost something truly rare. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. If this message spoke to you or gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new drop. I've got more real talk, more growth, and more power coming your way. So stay locked in. And if you're going through something right now, just remember, your silence can say more than 1,000 words ever could. Take care of yourself, keep rising, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.